everybody, my name is Liz Bradford and today I'm going to be giving a persuasive speech. I'm going to use both note cards and my PowerPoint. Here's my audience.
Hi, I'm Shannon Bradford.
I'm Will Bradford.
I'm Susan Bradford.
I'm Sarah Bradford.
I'm Joe Bradford.
I'm Alex Bradford.
Imagine living off of and supporting a family of just $22,000. Well, according to U.S. News and World Report, that's the median salary of waiters and waitresses. On the low, they're making not even $19,000, and on the high end, they're making $28,000. My family is a family of 8. We have 6 kids and 2 adults. If both of my parents were waiters and waitresses, we'd be bringing in just about $44,000 a year. That is nowhere near enough to support our family, and I bet that's the same circumstance for you. Because these waiters and waitresses earn so little, they rely heavily on tips. According to the living wage calculator, the living wage in Virginia is $28,000 for one single adult, and increases by 1% every year, according to the Encyclopedia of Small Businesses. Because of this such a low wage that these waitresses and waiters are making, they're struggling to get by without tips. This is why I urge you to agree with me that tipping waiters and waitresses at least 15% should be mandatory and regulated by the state. With a 15% tip, waiters and waitresses will earn $8 of every $50 check. Say they wait about $20 a day, while they're working in $160 in tips. Multiply that by 300 days because everybody needs vacation time. That's a total of $48,000. If you add that to their yearly salary, they're making around $67,000. That is a much more livable wage, and I think will allow them to get by much better. First, I plan to speak about the benefits of tipping, and second, I will tell you how to make these wages of waiters and waitresses less burdensome. Let's begin speaking about the benefits of tipping at a mandatory 15% rate. First, tipping is under the table. According to the Chicago Tribune, restaurant servers and customers are all able to dodge taxes by tipping. Because tipping is under the table, 100% of what is given is earned. The waiters and waitresses are able to get 100% of the proceeds, and they are able to avoid taxes. As I've learned, taxes are a huge thing, having working in the bookkeeping business, and it's almost everything is taxed. So having that is a huge blessing. Additionally, tipping is a good reward for good service. If you have a good waiter or waitress, you're able to reward them by saying thank you with a tip. Many of these waiters and waitresses rely on their tips, as we know their wages are already very low. Oftentimes, tipping depends on a plethora of things, as in the customer's attitude. Maybe they're not having a good day or they're not feeling the best. Well, if it was a mandatory tipping rate, that would be avoided and the server's good service would be rewarded. According to the Chicago Tribune, many economists claim that tip size is only very weakly related to the quality of service, but is actually determined by a social convention or the norm. Years ago, the average was about 12% of a tip. Now it's around 15 to 20. Because that's what is expected, many people choose to do that, and oftentimes many people choose not to tip as well. Tipping is a great way to say thank you and a great way to just appreciate hard work. Now that we have talked about the benefits of state mandating tipping, let's talk about how we can make some of these low wages less burdensome. As stated in U.S. News and World Report, the average salary of servers is $22,000, which is nowhere near close to the cost of living, and as stated by the living wage calculator, and as also I mentioned earlier. It's so hard to support some person on $22,000 a year. And it's nearly impossible to support an entire family. As defined in the Encyclopedia for Public Health, poverty generally represents earning or living off of less money than adequate as deemed by a particular country. Servers make $6,000 less than the living wage without tips. Now, not every server lives in poverty, but there are plenty that do. As stated by the Career Information Center, waiters earn an average of 10 to 20% of each guest check. Also, waiters depend on their tips as their hourly wages top off at about $6.75 an hour. They're making less than minimum wage, which is $7.25 for Virginia. So these people are really working hard but really not getting much in return. I urge you to tip your waiters and waitresses at least 15% so that their wages are less burdensome and easier to get by with. Now that we have talked about both the benefits and how low wages would be less burdensome, I urge you to agree with me that tipping at least 15% should be mandatory and regulated by the state. In conclusion, I urge you to agree with me that tipping waiters and waitresses at least 15% should be mandatory. Like stated above, even single waiters and waitresses are not making enough to get by themselves. They are relying on outside dependents or outside assistance to just get by without tips. To end, I would like to share a quote from the Gale Encyclopedia of Public Health. People living in poverty are living or attempting to sustain themselves without adequate funds. Lack of adequate financial resources means inadequate levels of healthy food and water, medical care, shelter, clothing, education, and other basic necessities. These basic inadequacies lead to malnutrition, disease, exposure to the elements, and greatly increased death rates. Let's help put an end to people suffering, and let's make a state-mandated rate of 15% for tipping. Thank you, and I hope you tip.